For 14 years, every sunrise felt the same. A clipboard tapping on my fence. A shadow standing in front of my porch. A new notice slapped on my door like a punishment for simply existing. Some people say HOAs keep neighborhoods beautiful. But nobody talks about the ones who use that power to make your life a private prison. I lived in that community since 2006, peacefully, quietly. Never had a single issue. And then she arrived. A woman with a tight smile, sharp eyes, and a grip on that clipboard like she was holding the law itself. She didn't enforce rules. She hunted for mistakes. A dead light bulb? $250 a day. A tiny oil stain? Fix it or we'll bill you. Tree too tall? Fine. Shrubs too wide? Fine. Fence too faded? Paint it. House one shade off? Paint it again. It wasn't about rules. It was about control. And every week, she showed up like clockwork, pointing, judging, noting, threatening. For 15 years. She turned my home, the place that was supposed to be my peace, into a battlefield. But 3 months ago, the notices stopped. No footsteps. No clipboard. No threats. Silence. Then I learned the truth. She was gone. Moved away. Just like that, the tyrant who terrorized me for over a decade vanished. And suddenly, for the first time in years, I could breathe. But with relief came a different feeling. A weight. A regret. Why didn't I fight back? Why did I let her push me? Why didn't I take action when she crossed every line? This is the real story of what living under her rule felt like. The story of freedom, fear, and the 15-year nightmare I survived. When I bought my home back in 2006, I thought I'd found my forever place. Quiet streets, clean sidewalks, friendly neighbors, the perfect American suburb vibe. The kind of place where kids ride bicycles till sunset and everyone waves when they drive by. And for 4 years, everything was perfect. Not a single notice. Not a single complaint. The HOA office only sent newsletters, like reminders about community BBQs or seasonal decorations. But in early 2010, something changed. Or more accurately, someone changed everything. One morning I stepped outside to find a neon-colored notice taped to my door. Bold letters. Big fine amount. Threatening tone. Your porch light bulb is burned out. Replace within 24 hours or face a $250 per day penalty. I literally laughed. Thought it was a mistake. A typo. Who finds someone $250 per day for a light bulb? But when I called the HOA office, they said it was real, a new compliance initiative. I replaced the bulb. Thought that was the end. I was wrong. That was only the beginning of a 15-year slow burn nightmare. A week later. Oil stain on driveway. Remove within 7 days or we will hire professionals and bill you. 2 weeks later. Tree branches extending beyond property line, cut immediately. Then. Shrubs uneven, trim them. Fence needs repainting. House color fading. You cannot park in front of your home anymore due to new neighborhood parking rules. Each notice was signed by one name. One signature. Over and over. Inspection by M. Reynolds. I didn't know who she was yet. But I would soon. The first time I saw her, it was a bright Saturday morning. I was leaving for work when she appeared at the end of my driveway, short hair, stiff posture, and that clipboard clutched like a weapon. She didn't greet me. Didn't smile. Just scanned my yard like she was looking for something wrong. Then she pointed at my gutter and said with a straight face, "You'll need to clean that. I'll send a notice." And she did. The same day. After that, she came every week. Sometimes twice. Walking slowly along my fence line, checking every corner, every inch of grass. If she could have measured the air, she would have. Neighbors whispered about her. Some hated her. Some feared her. A few actually liked her because she kept everything perfect. But to me, she wasn't enforcing rules, she was stalking my property. She'd stand outside for 10 minutes just staring, writing things down. Every month, I got a new complaint. Sometimes 2. Sometimes 3. And every complaint was more ridiculous than the last. Mailbox slightly tilted. Front window needs to be rewashed. Your lawn looks 1 inch too high. That clipboard had more power than it should ever have had. And I could feel it, she enjoyed this. The checking. The controlling. The fining. One day I finally asked her, "Why do you keep targeting me? I've lived here for years without a single issue." She stared at me with the coldest expression I've ever seen and said, "I don't target. I correct." And walked away. Those 2 words stuck with me for years. Because she didn't correct, she punished. It got to a point where I was scared to go outside. Scared to open my mailbox. Scared of any paper taped to my door. Living in your own house shouldn't feel like that. But somehow, this became my life. And it went on, month after month, year after year, all the way to 2024. Until one day, something strange happened. The notices stopped. A week passed. Then 2. Then a month. Silence. Absolute silence. No tapping clipboard. No written demands. No threats. I didn't trust it at first. I waited, expecting her to show up any moment. But she never did. And when I found out why, it shocked me more than all the notices combined. The silence was the first sign. A strange, unnatural silence, the kind you notice only when you've lived under constant noise for too long. For 15 years, the sound of her shoes on the pavement had become part of the rhythm of my street. Tap, tap, tap. Clipboard against her palm. Pen clicking. Eye scanning. Judging. Marking. But then, nothing. Not a single footstep. Not a single note slipping into my mailbox like a venomous letter. Not a single warning taped to my door in the dead of morning. It felt wrong. Like nature itself had paused. I remember waking up one morning, 3 months after the last notice, and noticing something strange. The birds sounded louder. The air felt lighter. My porch looked less threatening. Even my own truck, parked in front of the house, didn't make me feel guilty. At first I thought maybe the HOA office had changed shifts, or maybe they were reassigning inspectors, or maybe she was sick. But then week after week passed. No signs of her. That's when the curiosity began to eat at me. One Saturday, I stepped outside to get the mail. Brad, my neighbor across the street, was trimming his hedges. He looked at me, grinned, and said, "You look less stressed these days." I joked, maybe because I haven't been fined for breathing lately. He laughed and said casually, "Well, yeah, she's gone." I froze. Gone? "Yes," he said, lowering his trimmer like he was about to reveal a murder mystery. "She moved." I blinked twice. Maybe I misheard. Maybe I didn't understand what he meant. Maybe he didn't understand what she moved meant to me. So I asked again, slower. "She's gone? Like gone? Brad nodded. "Sold the house. Packed up. Left in a rush. The new couple's already moving next month." It felt like someone had cut the chains from my wrists. Like I'd been holding my breath underwater for 15 years and finally broke the surface. Gone. The clipboard queen, the self-appointed inspector general of my life, gone. I should have celebrated. Opened a bottle. Hosted a barbecue. Run laps around the block with sparklers. But I didn't. Instead, I stood completely still. Because the relief came with something else. Something unexpected. Something heavier. A weird, sinking regret. Why did she have to leave for me to feel free? Why didn't I stand up earlier? Why didn't I fight? Why didn't I push back when she went too far? Because now, standing there in my driveway, I realized something painful. For 15 years, I let one person turn my sanctuary into a source of stress. The very next morning, I woke up and there was no knot in my stomach. No fear that I'd find a $500 fine taped on my door. No paranoia that maybe I left my trash bin at the wrong angle. I walked outside barefoot, coffee in hand, just to feel the ground without pressure. And for the first time in years, I didn't see her standing across the street watching my property like a hawk. It felt unreal. Like waking up in a world where gravity suddenly changed. I let myself enjoy the freedom slowly. At first, I tried to keep everything perfect out of habit. Old trauma doesn't disappear in one morning. But then small changes happened. I left my porch light bulb unfixed for a full week, and nobody emailed me. I parked my truck exactly where she had forbidden, and nobody threatened towing. I let my grass grow an extra day, and no clipboard appeared. My shrubs grew a little wild, and guess what? The world didn't end. The more days passed, the more I realized how much of my life she had quietly controlled. The saddest part? I didn't even notice it happening at the time. It happened inch by inch. Rule by rule. Notice by notice. Living without her suddenly felt like stepping out of a dark room and realizing sunlight exists. About a week after I learned she moved, I had a conversation with my neighbor, Sandra, the quiet single mom who lived 2 houses down. She approached me while walking her dog and said, "I heard she used to give you a hard time too." "Too?" I repeated. Sandra nodded. "Oh, she went after everyone. She even measured my recycling bin position once. Said it was 4 inches outside the allowed boundary." We laughed, but the laugh had pain in it. She told me about 3 fines for shade inconsistency on her fence. A notice for leaving a Halloween decoration up for 1 day past the allowed season. A threat letter because her dog's water bowl was visible from the sidewalk. Another neighbor joined, Mark. Then another, Claire. Then another, old Mr. Jenkins. Every person had a story. Not small stories. Stories of embarrassment, harassment, unnecessary aggression. One person had been fined for a toy left in the yard, a slightly faded doormat, a birdhouse that didn't match community color guidelines. Another neighbor tried to take her to the HOA board, but guess what? She was the board. Or close enough to it. She had influence, friends, and fear backing her up. For years, we all silently believed we were the only one she targeted. But now, with her gone, the truth came out. We weren't alone. We just didn't realize we were living under the same tyrant. A week later, the new buyers came for a walkthrough. Their realtor accidentally left the garage door open for an hour while talking to contractors. I walked by and saw something inside that made my stomach twist. There were shelves, rows of them, stacked with folders. Hundreds of them. Each one labeled Driveway Inspection, 2014. Fence Violations, 2018. Shrub Growth Reports, 2019. Property Cleanliness, Annual Review. Parking, Non-Compliance Cases. Lighting Infractions, 2012 to 2024. It looked like the archive of a detective agency obsessed with a serial killer. Except the criminals were just regular homeowners. And then, the worst part, I saw my name. Not once. Not twice. 9 folders. All filled with papers, pictures, notes. She had documented my property more than I had. I stepped back from the garage. Not because I was scared, but because I finally understood. This wasn't about rules. This wasn't about community standards. This wasn't about neighborhood beauty. She was obsessed. Not with the neighborhood. Not with order. With control. The clipboard wasn't her tool. It was her identity, her purpose, her reason to wake up every morning. And somewhere along the way, she forgot that humans lived in these homes, not soldiers, not employees, not inmates. That night, I sat on my porch and let all the emotions I'd held in for years finally surface. Relief washed over me first. Strong. Powerful. Almost overwhelming. Then regret. A deep ache. Why didn't I fight? Why didn't I report her? Why didn't I gather neighbors and challenge the board? But then another voice inside me said, "You were tired. You were overwhelmed. You were trying to keep peace in your own home. Survival is not weakness." And maybe that's true. When you're under pressure for so long, you stop seeing the problem clearly. You normalize it. It's like living next to a highway. Eventually the noise becomes invisible. But that doesn't make the noise okay. It just means you were trying your best. And now, without the noise, the silence feels beautiful. I realized something else too. Had she stayed another year, another month, even another week, I might have broken. So maybe her leaving wasn't just luck. Maybe it was mercy. Not from her, she had none, but from life. Life without her feels like this. I sleep deeper. I breathe easier. I no longer feel guilty for silly things. My home feels like mine again. I don't think twice about parking my truck. I don't keep scissors ready for sudden shrub emergencies. I don't live checking over my shoulder. The neighborhood feels brighter too. People smile more. Kids play outside longer. Neighbors don't hide behind curtains when someone walks by. It's almost like the community collectively sighed in relief. A few weeks later, the HOA sent out a letter announcing new leadership and more balanced enforcement. I laughed reading that, because they knew exactly who they were talking about without naming her. They knew the truth. Everyone did. The community wasn't strict because of rules. It was strict because of her. One person with power can change the atmosphere of an entire neighborhood. For 15 years, she ruled. And for the first time, we were free. Some nights I still think about everything she put me through. Sometimes I get angry. Sometimes I feel stupid. Sometimes I wish I could go back in time and tell myself, "Don't let one person take your peace." But then I remember, despite everything she did, despite the stress, the threats, the fines, the humiliation, I survived. I lasted longer than her. I outlived her shadow. My home is still here. I'm still standing. And she's gone. No power. No clipboard. No throne. No fear. And that, more than anything, is closure. A peaceful home after a long nightmare. A neighborhood reborn. And a man who finally learned what freedom feels like.